Hi, thanks for being here. I really appreciate your time and willingness to learn more about how to transition and manage whole food, plant-based nutrition and a healthy lifestyle. This session is specifically about meal planning and how to actually manage the transition to a vegan, whole food, plant-based diet. I'm a very practical, concrete person, and I like for things to be clear. To make this transition really work for you, I wanted to offer you more practical support. Topics in this session include a short review of whole food, plant-based nutrition, including types of food, organics, GMO, vitamins, minerals, and supplements. We'll talk about smart shopping, meal planning for 3 meals a day plus snacks, as well as some simple breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack ideas. Briefly, I'll discuss cooking basics, special equipment, where to shop, and resources like websites and cookbooks. We always end with a summary and then action steps for you and your family. I want for you to make this happen in real life. I'll come back 2 additional times to recap and reinforce important points. This session lasts about an hour. Do download and print the whole food plant-based shopping list from my website too. And don't forget to review the questions for reflection and discussion first. Thanks for being here. Happy eating.
Just to quickly review previous sessions, here's an easy ratio of whole foods to aim for and remember. Approximately 80% of our nutrition comes from carbohydrates, veggies, fruits, legumes, and 100% whole grains, while only 10% comes from plant-based protein and 10% plant-based fat. We've looked at a variety of graphic food plates in these presentations. They're pretty similar. Keep in mind we aim for progress, not perfection. Do the best you can and keep at it. Here's one from Mercy for Animals that once again shows us that our goal is to eat 5 or more servings of whole grains per day, 3 or more servings of beans and lentils, which we call legumes, 4 or more servings of vegetables, and 1 to 2 servings of nuts and seeds. Add 2 or more servings of fruit per day. Now that is whole fruit and not juice, because juice metabolizes really quickly and spikes our blood sugar without pulp and fiber. I just want to share a few words about soy because there are misconceptions about soy, and soy is often a significant part of any vegan's nutrition. Soy is a great source of protein, fiber, calcium, other vitamins, and minerals. Soy has been demonstrated to decrease breast cancer and risk for cancer reoccurrence. Soy does not decrease testosterone and actually reduces the rate of prostate cancer. There are 4 main forms of soy. Number 1, whole soy, eaten as edamame, pictured here, and roasted soy nuts. Look for edamame in the fresh or frozen department. Look for roasted soybeans in the snack department. Some roasted soybeans are very oily and salty, so please read the label first. Minimally processed soy includes tofu and soy milk. Tofu comes in various levels of firmness, from super soft, which is wonderful for soups and sauces, to easily sliced, extra firm bricks sold in little tubs of water. Both are located in the refrigerator case or in shelf-stable boxes. I prefer the fresh refrigerated products. Number 3, fermented soy is tempeh and miso. Tempeh comes in a brick shape, while miso is a paste that comes in small tubs. Both are usually found in the refrigerator case. We use miso as a flavoring in soups, sauces, casseroles, anything really. There are several types. Some are lighter in flavor and color than others. Tempeh can be cooked in a variety of ways. I often slice into cubes, steam, and then add to other dishes. Think of it as a meat substitute. Number 4. And finally, there are faux or fake products, and like any heavily processed food, we want to minimize these forms of heavily processed soy that are sold as cheeses, faux meats, sandwich slices, hot dogs, sausages, pepperoni, and soy protein. A little is great. Personally, I use a little bit of soy cheese more than the fake meat products. Experiment and see what works. Speaking of processed foods, let's talk a little bit more about processed versus whole foods. During these presentations, we keep talking about whole foods, whole foods, whole foods. But we do eat some processed foods, right? Yep, we do. Just depends on the amount of processing. Some processing is necessary for food safety. Okay, so for example, we eat raw peanuts, shown here in their whole plant-based form, in the shell, as well as peanuts processed into peanut butter. In a recent study, researchers tracked consumers' food purchases between the years 2000 to 2012. They were able to sort through 1.2 million food products. The researchers found that most people ate mostly moderately or highly processed food instead of minimally or basically processed food. And we wonder why our obesity and disease rates are skyrocketing. Think of processing in 4 categories. Number 1, minimally processed, for example, bagged, pre-mixed salad. 2, basically processed, for example, flour. Moderately processed would be still recognizable, but with added chemicals, additives, and things like that, like a can of chili beans. In the study, 16% of participants' calories came from this processed food group. And then highly processed. These would be multi-ingredient packages no longer recognizable in their plant form, like potato chips and ready-to-heat or ready-to-eat meals. In the study, 61% of participants' calories came from this processed food group. Instead, we want to focus on minimally processed or basically processed food and stay away from added sugar, added salt, chemicals, and additives. Read food labels and aim for the simplest, shortest labels possible. Another type of food worth mentioning is the debate about organic and conventionally grown produce. Just in 2013, the USDA found that in over 3,000 food samples, 2/3 of produce were pesticide-laden with 165 different pesticides. These food samples contained the pesticides even after washing and peeling. Well, some may ask, are pesticides really that bad? Many studies on the actual farm workers themselves, who work with pesticides on a regular basis, report increased levels of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, prostate, ovarian, and other cancers, depression, and respiratory problems. Moreover, many food items are covered with more than one pesticide, the combination of which we don't know the results. There are concerns among scientists that pesticides can cause reproductive disorders and birth defects. And of course, since children are smaller and still developing, they are most at risk for pesticides, starting in the womb and going through all their development into adults. Conditions like significantly lower IQ and ADHD have been found in children born to mothers with higher levels of certain chemical pesticides in their bloodstream. All that being said, a number of health professionals say that the benefits of eating fruit and vegetables outweigh the benefits of organic, meaning don't skip the fruit and veggies if they're not organic. Do the best you can and simply eat more plants every day. Many consumers, about 85% of us, according to Consumer Reports, do want clean produce. Sales of organic food has risen steadily over the years, but not all of us have access to or can afford to buy organic. To help, the Environmental Working Group, the EWG, puts out a list each year of the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. Make a copy of this list or download the app pictured here. The Dirty Dozen obviously indicates higher concentrations of various pesticides than other produce items. The Clean 15 are least likely to hold pesticide residue and also have fewer pesticides used on them in the first place. Concentrate on buying non-organic for these items and organic for the Dirty Dozen, if possible. The Clean 15 includes avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, cabbage, frozen peas, onions, asparagus, mangoes, papayas, kiwis, eggplant, grapefruit, cantaloupe, cauliflower, and sweet potato. The Dirty Dozen includes apples, peaches, nectarines, strawberries, grapes, celery, spinach, sweet bell peppers, cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, imported snap peas, and potatoes. There's a whole new category for the worst of the worst, and it's called the Dirty Dozen Plus group, which includes 3 foods: kale, collard greens, and hot peppers. All superb additions to our plate. These conventionally grown foods contain pesticides toxic to the human nervous system. The EWG recommends if we eat a lot of those 3 foods, kale, collard greens, and hot peppers, to buy organic whenever we can. Incidentally, there's a new study out that organic may be more sustainable for the world than we previously thought. The conventional thinking has been that we need massive conventional farms to grow our food. Currently, 75% of all the seeds planted in the world are owned by only 10 companies. If we're to feed 9 billion people by the year 2050, we need these giant corporately controlled farms, right? Well, maybe not. A new study from Global Justice Now indicates that perhaps smaller scale, organic farms can feed the world because they already are feeding millions of people in Africa. It certainly would be great to have more organic crops available for more people. In the meantime, buy organic if possible. It's better for our health, better for the environment, and better for those who are affected by pesticide residue, such as the farmers, the farm workers, and the people who live near the farms. GMO and genetically engineered crops are in the news a lot. Did you know that U.S. law does not require labeling of genetically engineered produce? If it's a concern, please shop organic or food labeled with the non-GMO Project Verified label. We can always use that EWG app while we shop. While we're on the subject, a new report from Friends of the Earth called Spinning Food reveals that big food companies are using PR tactics reminiscent of the tobacco industry to discredit and mislead the public about GMO-free and organic foods. Despite the sale of organics growing and people clearly wanting safe, pesticide-free food. PR tactics include using social media with industry paid for, so-called independent voices, attacking the credibility of scientists, and targeting females by promoting messages that moms who are concerned about their children's food are bullies. The actual bullies, in my opinion, are those large corporations who want to ensure constant profits, plus control over national policies to support their corporate interests. Corporations like Monsanto, DuPont, and Dow are spending unprecedented amount of money to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars to mislead the public, obviously not caring about anything or anyone but themselves. Speaking of money, we've mentioned this before, and it bears repeating that Dr. Campbell and many others say vitamins and supplements are a waste of money. Let's go into a bit of brief detail before we get into smart shopping strategies. While the evidence suggests that there is no effect on heart disease, supplements might actually increase the rate of some cancers, which we talked about in the nutritional implications of cancer session. And of course, as Dr. Campbell says, isolated nutrients never have the same beneficial effect as healthy whole foods. Foods work in symphony with each other. Fish oil is the third most widely used supplement in the U.S. because people think it will lower the risk for cardiovascular disease. However, the vast majority of clinical trials don't substantiate that claim. There's no evidence fish oil lowers heart diseases. Sales keep going up while the evidence accumulates that fish oil doesn't help protect us against heart attack and stroke. Without describing at length a variety of studies starting in the 1970s written up by the New York Times in March 2015, it does appear that fish oil makes little or no difference in protecting us against heart disease. Moreover, the industry is not regulated. We do not truly know what is inside the bottle. The New York State Attorney Office recently accused 4 major retailers, GNC, Target, Walgreens, and Walmart, of selling fraudulent supplements. Medicinal supplements were found to contain little or none of the herbs listed on the packages. Instead, powdered rice and other mysterious unlisted ingredients filled the capsules. Right now, the FDA operates on the Honor Code, so there really isn't any regulation at all, in stark contrast to prescription drugs. Interesting to note that Orrin Hatch, a senior senator from Utah, has accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars from the supplement industry and has repeatedly crushed any opposition to the status quo. The status quo is that supplements are only pulled from the shelves when something terrible happens, like people get very sick. That does happen. Instead, eat a varied diet full of healthy, colorful fruits, veggies, grains, and legumes. Vitamin B12 is vital for the formation of red blood cells, as well as for the proper functioning and health of nerve tissue. People with vitamin B deficiency may eventually develop pernicious anemia, a type of blood disorder. Vitamin B12 is an issue for people who eat a whole food plant-based diet because B12 is found mainly in animal products. Vitamin B12 can also be found in fortified soy milk, fortified cereals, and nutritional yeast. It is especially important for people over the age of 50, pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers, and children to get enough vitamin B12. Purchase B12 supplements with the NSF or USP certification on the label. Well, what does it mean when a supplement is NSF certified? Well, good question. From the NSF website, dietary supplements are evaluated to confirm that they actually contain the ingredients and quantities shown on the label, as well as to make sure they don't contain excessive levels of impurities like heavy metals or pesticides. Certification must be renewed annually to ensure each product continues to comply with all requirements to maintain product certification. Search the NSF website for their database of dietary supplements or consumerlab.com for reports and shopping information.
We've looked at a variety of graphic food plates in all these different presentations. Simply make the best decisions you can each and every day and keep at it. Every day we have the opportunity to make many wise food decisions. Just now, we looked at the Mercy for Animals food plate. That once again shows us that our goal is to eat 5 or more servings of whole grains per day, 3 or more servings of beans and lentils, what we call legumes, 4 or more servings of vegetables, 1 to 2 servings of seeds and nuts, and 2 or more servings of fruit per day. Now that's whole fruit and not juice, because juice spikes our blood sugar without pulp and fiber. Sales of organic food has risen steadily over the years, but not all of us have access to or can afford to buy organic food. To help, the Environmental Working Group, the EWG, puts out a list each year of the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. Make a copy of the list or download the app. We also talked about GMOs. Since U.S. law doesn't require labeling of genetically engineered food, buy organic if this is a concern for you and your family. Many food labels will proudly proclaim non-GMO, so look for those too. And do use the EWG while you shop. We also touched upon vitamins and supplements, and once again, they're not needed with a varied, healthy, colorful plant-based diet. Vitamin B12 is the only one you might think about and consider taking. I've been taking it for years. Coming up next is conversations about strategies for smart shopping, reading food labels, how to plan for plant-based meals, a few apps to use, and ideas about where to shop.
In this day and age, many of us need to cut costs and actively demonstrate smart shopping strategies. Making things more complicated, due to the severe drought in California and other states, expect an increase in prices. The good news is that eating only plants significantly lower food costs. Prepare a list and stick with it. That way we are ensured of focusing on our needs and budget with less waste and the necessary ingredients to prepare delicious meals. Spontaneity often ultimately wastes money and time with repeated trips to the store and food spoiling while waiting for those other ingredients to arrive. We need to use what we purchase. Clip coupons and/or join loyalty programs. Mine are pretty good. The stores want us to come back, so work hard for our business. Find stores that work for the whole family and work their system for the best results. Here's a logical idea. Eat before marketing, never ever shop hungry. Several small studies indicate that when we pre-program our brains, if we eat a healthy snack like fruit or a healthy meal before shopping, then we buy more healthy foods like produce. A healthy mindset is the key, and eating well first helps us maintain that mindset. To save money and the environment, avoid pre-packages. For example, bagged or boxed salad. They cost more and create a lot of waste. Avoid as much packaging and processing as possible. Diced butternut squash in a bag costs way more than a whole, fresh squash you cook one night while making dinner and slice and dice the next night. Use as much of the plant as possible. Celery and carrot tops, broccoli stems, beet greens, or cauliflower leaves. There's a whole movement afoot where people are trying to outdo each other in how little waste they produce. Seriously, we can eat much more of the plant than the very tips. Save scraps to get all the available nutrients. Freeze clean leftover bits in a Ziploc bag, then defrost and make vegetable broth. And of course, composting is a whole other topic, which we won't get into here. Continuing our conversation about cutting costs and smart shopping before we get into meal planning, do shop in season. If we buy fresh ears of corn in the middle of winter, expect to pay way more than late summer when we can get 10 ears for $1. Learn what is fresh and seasonal in your region. During the height of the season, buy more. Then freeze, bake, or even make jam. Zucchini bread, eggplant stew, and corn or blueberry muffins are delicious and easy to make and freeze. Buy in bulk. We buy food like rice, flour, dry beans, and oatmeal in large bags. It's less costly, and then we always have the staples we need. If at all possible, shop during the mid-morning to early afternoon, when food is fresh, selection is full, and deals are to be made. Always go with the start of your store's sales week. Many times it's Wednesdays, but double check. Shopping late afternoons on a weekend or during rush hour when everyone's exhausted and hungry may not be the best time. Plan ahead and be smart about what works for the entire family. Shop a variety of places such as farmers markets, Costco, traditional markets, and specialty stores. We have a number of markets we frequent, and I rotate through them all to get the things we need and want. I have a little system, and I have my 2 top-tier places, 2 middle-tier places, and a few bottom-tier or very infrequent places to shop. Develop a system and use it. Part of the shopping experience is reading food labels, what Dr. Lustig, our anti-sugar guru, calls warning labels. After food labels, we'll talk about meal planning. Think of food labels as only guidelines. Due to newer technological advances, the way people measure calories in food is under discussion around the world. What's important for us to remember is that we want to eat as many whole foods, real foods, as we can, and they are neatly packaged in skin, shells, and peels, thus do not require a label. Always read the ingredient list first. This is simple. Purchase foods without milk, eggs, casein, that's milk protein, albumin, which is an egg product, and or whey, another milk product made from processing cheese. And of course, shorter lists are often better. Sugar is very tricky. It has 61 names and it's contained in 75% of processed foods. Look at the grams and try to figure out if it's natural sugar or added sugar. The less added sugar, the better. 25 grams of added sugar per day or less is the goal. Fat. I read the ingredients list for oils, and also the amount of fat in grams, knowing that plant-based fat is necessary and healthy. A lot of added oil is not. Cholesterol is easy. If the food item has cholesterol, it's animal-based. If the food is plant-based, it has 0 cholesterol. Sodium. Keep in mind, dietary guidelines recommend between 2,300 and 1,500 milligrams per day, depending on our health status. The less added salt, the better. And finally, serving sizes. This one is tricky too. How many people will actually eat this product? And how much will they actually eat? A quarter cup of a frozen dessert per person may be unrealistic. It is in our house. Multiply the amount of real people eating this product to get a more accurate idea of nutritional information. Often the labels are way off what normal people eat in real life. Now on to meal planning. Save money, time, and food waste by using some sort of meal planning method. Keep in mind there is no one correct way. Here's a few ideas to get started. One method is to be ingredient-based. Use in-season produce like summer corn on the cob, winter hard squashes, or staples like beans and rice. Leftovers are also an important ingredient to consider while meal planning. For example, roast potatoes and use for 3 days in 3 different meals, such as roasted potatoes with roasted vegetables, potato pancakes, or scalloped potatoes. This will enable us to reduce random ingredients that often are wasted, languishing in the fridge. Another time-tested favorite is to plan using family favorites. We all have family favorites. In fact, many of us cook the same things over and over and over again. People generally rotate through about 10 dishes week after week after week. And that's fine, and really all we need. Special occasions and events are obvious reasons to plan meals, including the week before the event. For example, when we have house guests coming, I cook more simply the few days prior because I know I'll be cooking a lot when our guests arrive. Holiday meals and celebrations are fun to plan, and don't forget to include those leftovers in subsequent meals. Some people like to organize a list of easy, medium, and more complicated meals per week. So list a few super simple, toss-together dinners, a few easy-to-cook in 30-minute dinners, and 1 or 2 harder meals that take more focus and time. Select 1 night per week for the same 1 meal. For example, if we're home, I always cook pizza on Friday nights and serve with a giant salad. It just makes life easier. Another popular method is to sync food with the calendar, our mood, or weather. For example, if I know I have a crazy wild week of meetings and driving around, I may not want to make complicated meals. On the other hand, I may be stressed out, so will want to make comfort food all week. Similarly, the weather. If a storm is coming in, shop beforehand and lay in supplies. If it's super hot, a variety of cool Asian salads are refreshing. Plan in context with what is happening in life, not in isolation. While working on this presentation, I learned a new technique, and I love it. It's so intelligent. Keep a sub-calendar of meals so that it's easy to go back and then reflect on previous meals in our previously filled out meal calendar. This really leverages the idea of eating in season, because who can remember everything? After cooking for so many decades, I am known to make up dinner on the spot in the kitchen. Some of the meals are frankly terrific, and some are real duds, but I typically forget the really good ones. I just started a separate calendar of dinners to inspire me. Mine is digital, so I can see it on my phone, but it's easy to keep its separate paper calendar near planning supplies. Finally, there's themes like Soup is Sunday, which I grew up on, or Tuesday is tacos, which I wish I had grown up on. Themes exploring cuisines like everything Thai or Mexican all month are an inspiring and fun way to explore and learn new recipes. Do plan and eat 3 meals per day to keep our metabolism fueled and efficiently running. When we're not burning up our food fuel, it's easy to gain weight despite eating less. Remember, Dr. Ornish always says, eat more, weigh less. Now, we've talked about belly fat before. It's a totally different kind of fat. According to late-night TV and internet ads, remedies to get rid of belly fat abound. We just don't like it. Well, instead of buying junk, why not eat toward a flatter stomach? Yes, for example, a study from Ohio State University found that mice who gorged themselves once a day and did not eat the rest of the day had fatter bellies than the sensible mice who ate their food over a period of time. The issue is metabolism, our internal fire. We also develop insulin resistance when we gorge once a day, which is a precursor to diabetes and heart disease, as we've discussed. So, do we want belly fat and chronic illness, or vibrant health and a flatter stomach? The message is clear. Better to eat smaller meals more frequently, and don't skip meals to save calories. Plan and shop for 3 meals and healthy snacks each day. Here's a few random, hopefully helpful tips. Organize recipes into one simple system. Cookbooks, a binder with loose leaf printed recipes, or digital files and photos. Since I've been cooking since I was a little girl with my grandmother, I'm still paper-based. I have all her old recipes on index cards and remember what fun we had when I see her handwriting. Of course, I could scan them, but that's really a big project. Anyway, keep recipes together in one easy-to-access place. Another random tip is to keep food storage areas organized. This means that the refrigerator, freezer, and pantry are relatively clean and tidy, and not overstuffed so food is lost in a black hole of rotting chaos. Opening the refrigerator to find rotting, smelling food is disgusting and a waste of money. 1 to 2 minutes a day is all it takes to keep it relatively tidy and to see what we have. If we plan well, we will not have food waste. All staples on hand and all hands on deck. What are your staples? Rice and beans, tofu and tempeh, lettuce, leafy greens and tomatoes, bread and nut butter, ginger and garlic, whatever they are, keep a stock on hand. Don't allow items to run out. Buy backups before running out. For example, when we get to the bottom quarter or third of something, it goes on the list. Kind of like gas in the car. We get more before we run out. You know, it's fun to plan with a buddy. Years ago, I worked with a woman and we often shopped at a great little Asian market on our lunch hour. We frequently talked about what we were going to prepare and eat. We really helped each other. And keep refining systems until they work. Don't give up the ship. When instituting new ways of doing things, give it some time. Make it work. Systems and plans don't work unless they're worked. Additionally, part of the system is to have a ground zero place for cookbooks, lists, coupons, perhaps a calendar, paper, pencils, whatever. It doesn't have to be large or fancy, just all the stuff you need in one place. From my website, anyone can download and print this whole food, plant-based shopping list. It can also be used like an inventory list. I highlight items I need to buy, make notes, and draw lines through items when purchased. Often I use one list for a few weeks at a time, especially if I have to go to a specialty store to buy particular items. I keep a stack on the counter near my recipes and cookbooks, so it's all in one place. Do you see the meal planning chart system pictured here? This is a very basic days of the week with meals grid system with added columns for items needed and notes. Any system works as long as it's used. There are apps and online tools for menu planning. There are color-coded Excel spreadsheets. There are the backs of old envelopes and index cards. Play around until you find a system that works. If you're just starting out meal planning, you may want to start out online as there's quite a bit of loading data into the online tools. But once it's done, it's brilliant and you can search, sort, and develop meal plans in a snap. If you're a paper or pencil person, that's fine. I typically choose the basic chart or list system depending on how detailed I need or want to be. We've already talked about the apps for the Environmental Working Group, the EWG, to help us buy environmentally healthy products like the Clean 15 and not the Dirty Dozen, and as can be expected, there are many other apps to assist us in meal planning. Do a search online or check out these here. As you explore the recipe apps, do look to see if they include the key term, cuisine type, or category vegan. Otherwise, be prepared to veganize recipes. Fujicate. At the store, I can scan barcodes for nutrition information. I like Fujicate because it tracks some added sugars and it's easy to use. It helps me read food labels to find the best product. Let's say I'm shopping for crackers. When I scan the barcode, I learn the ones I picked are a B+. But I want something in the A range. I can then look for alternatives and find a better cracker product. Very cool. All Recipes Dinner Spinner is an app that offers recipes, shopping, plus search and share features. The classic Is It Vegan? Is a shopping app that tells us if a food is vegan or not. And don't forget to look for the big green V on products. Finally, Menu Planner or Food Planner. These apps will turn recipes into shopping lists and more. Just check it out. The next big question, of course, is where to shop. Do we have to shop at pricey specialty markets? No. Well, we can, but we don't have to. We'll briefly talk about shopping and then cooking. Ask your local grocery store to carry more whole food, plant-based items. My local Safeway is pretty amazing. I have given them a list and they have gotten me the foods I requested. They do want to please their customers to keep us coming back. We also have several locally owned specialty markets nearby, and we rotate around to get the things we may need. I only fill in at these markets because they're typically more expensive unless they have a really good sale going on. National chain stores like Whole Foods, Sprouts, and Trader Joe's carry more and more plant-based items. The industry is always developing new vegan products, and it's exciting to have so many choices. It certainly makes eating plant-based so much easier than 10 years ago. Asian markets and international markets are fun to explore, as are farmer markets. Did you know that there are over 8,000 farmer markets in the U.S.? Yeah, that's a 180% increase since 2006. That's almost double the number. Locate farmers markets on the website localharvest.org. This website connects people looking for good food with the farmers who produce it. That was localharvest.org. They also have an extensive newsletter, a recipe archive, and are essentially all about what is called farm to table. Farmers markets are an excellent way to get fresh foods and support the local economy. Big box stores like Target, Costco, and Walmart are also carrying more and more organic and plant-based products. The selection is really amazing. In a previous session, I talked about vigilantes and people who are militant about finding the perfect food and organic, locally sourced, in a locally owned store and all of that. Sometimes they can even be judgmental towards other. I prefer the mindset to do the best I can, eat what I want, and not be judgmental about where other people get their food. If a busy dad is shopping at a big box store and needs some fruit and veggies, beans and rice, whatever, go for it. Every marketing trip with more whole food, plant-based items, the better. I think it's fantastic the number and variety of plant-based products these big box stores now carry. So shop on. And of course, the internet is a great source, and there are tons of products available. And finally, don't forget the list and reusable shopping bags.
Like anything else, shopping can be easy peasy or a frustrating, ineffective chore. It really depends on how you approach it. Incidentally, I'm excited for you to learn how much money you're going to save, because eating only plants significantly lowers food costs. There's many smart shopping strategies. The most important one is to have a well-planned list. Do shop in season and avoid as much packaging and processing as possible. Do plan and eat 3 meals a day and a few snacks if you're hungry. Remember, Dr. Ornish always says, eat more, weigh less. Make your weekly meal plan, create the shopping list, and only shop when prepared to do the very best job you can. Again, you want to set yourself up for success. You don't want to have the first few whole food, plant-based shopping excursions turn out to be a nightmare. When you get to the store, you want to be sure you have plenty of time to read labels and use the apps you've installed to help you. Now, when considering a processed food item, always read the ingredients list first. Sugar is very tricky. It has 61 names and it's contained in 75% of processed food. 25 grams of added sugar per day or less is the goal. For fat, I read the ingredient list for oils and also the amount of fat in grams, knowing that a little bit of plant-based fat is necessary and healthy. Now, cholesterol is super easy to work with. If the food item has cholesterol, it's animal-based. If the food is plant-based, it has 0 cholesterol. Simply don't buy the package with cholesterol in it. Now, do keep in mind the sodium dietary guidelines recommended between 2,300 and 1,500 milligrams per day, depending upon your health status. The less added salt, the better. And finally, serving sizes. This one's tricky too. How many people will actually eat this product in real life? When you purchase mostly fresh and real whole foods, shopping is much easier because you don't have to fuss with labels. Next up is cooking basics, some sample meal and snack ideas, and a few of my favorite cookbooks. Then we'll conclude with a summary and action steps. After the session, please do go back to the questions for reflection and discussion. The more you actively think about these sessions, the better for your continual learning and smoother your transition to optimal health.
The cookbook authors at Thug Kitchen reminded me of how much I loved to watch Julia Child on TV when I was little. Julia Child was born in 1912 and died 92 years later. She was an American chef, author, and TV personality. She's recognized for bringing French cuisine to the American public with her cookbook, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and her subsequent TV programs, The French Chef, which premiered in 1963. Julia Child was so funny and so smart, too. Her philosophy about cooking is not to be afraid, or be afraid and cook anyway. We probably won't die from our cooking, so just go for it. Have fun, make notes, and just dive in. Just do it. What have we got to lose? More importantly, what have we got to gain? Julia Child demonstrated fearlessness as she said, "The only real stumbling block is fear of failure. In cooking, you've got to have a what the hell attitude." I just love that. And yes, men do cook. 14% more men cook now than in 1965, and that number is growing every year. Of course, the classic, stereotypical, manly reasons why men cook are knives, fire, and control. There are other reasons why more men are cooking these days, too. One is because cooking provides food, and men like to eat. Cooking also provides care and sustenance for loved ones, partners, children, parents, friends, and family. It enables men to be independent of their mom, their sisters, daughters, or wife. Cooking, versus eating out, saves us money. And cooking can be a ton of fun. I think all youngsters, boys and girls, need to learn how to cook. Cooking is a life skill. Here's a photo of Jamie Oliver cooking up a storm and in control. A whole other topic is the overwhelmingly high number of professional chefs who are men. Thankfully, the number of female professional chefs is slowly increasing. Some cooking basics include, beforehand, think of what you want to eat, when, where, and with whom. Read over a variety of recipes, and veganize recipes, which simply means substituting or leaving out meat and dairy. As we've discussed, make a shopping list from the weekly meal plan. Plan for leftovers. Leftovers can be pre-made, ready-to-eat dishes or pre-cooked ingredients to use in another meal. For example, leftovers can be a pan of spinach tofu lasagna or a plain pot of beans. When I cook, I try to maximize both types of leftovers, the ingredient kind and the pre-made dinner kind. Having pre-cooked food in the fridge ready for the next step is a real time saver. Now for each meal, set aside time to prepare. While you're cooking, who will ensure that plates, cutlery, napkins, water, whatever, is organized and ready to go? Nothing is worse than having a wonderful hot meal without clean plates. My husband usually does all that while I cook, so we both share in prep and cleanup. So for pre-prep, make sure all ingredients are ready, thawed, and ready to go the day before. If there's time, wash the produce. Before starting, organize all the ingredients on the counter so it's all there, ready to grab. This makes cooking both faster and cleaner. I'm not fond of searching through cabinets and pawing through the refrigerator with sticky hands as pots are boiling over on the stove. Time spent up front will save time in the long run. Read the recipe completely several times before starting. This is so important. How many times have I messed up a recipe because I didn't read it properly and started making it before I realized how much time it took, a special something I didn't have, or some other crucial step in the process I didn't understand? I'm embarrassed to say, too many times. Cooking is part art and part science. Timing can be difficult for beginners and pros alike. Don't be daunted. Be like Julia Child. And do make notes on the recipe for next time. One last comment about oil. We don't cook with oil. Ever since that wonderful day back in 2005 when we changed everything due to my husband's heart attack, we have not cooked with oil. Yep, don't need it. Oil is highly processed. As we discussed in the carbohydrate, sugar, salt, and fat session, oil is 100% fat. Oil decreases our blood flow and triggers plaque buildup. I do keep a bottle on hand, and it takes years to use it up. Vegetables will brown on their own without oil. Roast vegetables for a long, slow time. Use parchment paper so food doesn't stick, and grill under a broiler if you want them crisp like French fries. Roasting brings out natural sweetness. Sauté and stir-fry with broth, water, or wine, or add a bit of avocado if you're concerned about food sticking to the pan. Steaming is quick and easy. Let water boil for a few minutes, then let the foods quietly steam for a few minutes with the heat off. Add herbs and spices once finished. Bake with unsweetened applesauce, banana, or dried fruit soaked in water. Flax seeds are also terrific to cook with. Once we talk about equipment, we're going to shift and talk about actual meals and then get ready to conclude this section. Do we need special equipment in the plant-based kitchen? No, not really, no. For some cooks, cooking supplies and gadgets can be addicting. They need the latest gadget, electronic appliance, or toy. Not me. I keep it pretty practical, and I only buy what I know I'll use. A lot of cookbooks include a basic primer of supplies needed. Be mindful that it takes time, years, to organize a kitchen, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. If on a budget, you don't have to rush out today and buy full-on retail, brand new, high-end items unless you want to and can afford it. It's amazing what can be found at garage sales, Goodwill, thrift, or consignment shop. That being said, I cannot live without a rice cooker. I bought mine years ago, a stainless steel, electric steamer type, and I love it. I use it weekly. Get the one with a stainless steel container, so toxic Teflon, no-stick flakes don't come off in the food. Experiment with all types of rice and freeze unused portions in a day or two. A crock pot. I use mine weekly and use it for oatmeal, soups, beans, so many things. I love it that it's a make-it-and-forget-it piece of equipment. A food processor and or blender, well, they're great, but not necessary. I didn't have either for years and got along fine. Immersion blenders are nice too and not expensive. I use my stick blender to blend soft tofu into soup and to whip up dressings or sauces. A salad spinner to wash lettuce is necessary. Washing and drying lettuce can be time-intensive, but the spinners are terrific and make it much faster and easier. Get a big one and wash the lettuce in batches. Wrap in a clean dish towel and refrigerate to keep fresh. Every cook must have at least one decent knife. You'll be chopping a lot, and sharp knives are essential. Actually, sharp knives are safer than dull ones. Learn how to care for good knives. For example, don't put it in the dishwasher. It is better to have one good knife than 5 crummy ones. We also use several cutting boards of various sizes. Use the good knives exclusively for food and for not opening up cardboard boxes or cutting rope. Food knives are special. A good vegetable peeler is also essential. I prefer the larger Y-shaped kind because it's easier than the little funky skinny one my mom used. Get the one with a comfortable handle because it will get used a lot. Handfuls, pinches, and approximations are okay sometimes, but a set of measuring cups and spoons are important for all cooks, as is cookware. Stainless steel or cast iron is the best. We bought ours at an outlet center and they've served us well. People buy cookware that costs thousands of dollars. Seriously, but we spent about $100 for ours. Non-stick cookware is not recommended because the flakes come off and get into the food. And who wants to eat Teflon? Colanders and sieves are vital. Get a few colorful plastic ones, as a few metal ones of varying bowl sizes and mesh sizes, so it's easy to wash, sort, even store foods. I keep fresh berries in a colander in the refrigerator to keep the air circulating around the berries. There's nothing worse than a gorgeous strawberry smashed, wet, and rotten at the bottom of a bowl. Mixing bowls goes without saying. I like stainless steel because they're lightweight and I can't break them. Kitchen supplies are simply tools. Like any other tools, they range in quality and cost. Buy what you need and can afford. We've completed prepping, planning, and shopping. And now it's time to talk about actual foods and actual sample meals. Please note, I'm not a fancy cook. We eat pretty plain food, yet do eat a lot of it. The following are not fancy, hard to make examples, but are normal, everyday type meals. We keep breakfast pretty simple and much the same every day. Find a go-to breakfast and make that your daily meal. It's easy and it takes the thinking out of it, and it simply works. If you don't like traditional breakfast foods, break out of the breakfast box. Eat anything. You can eat a thick, hearty soup every day. Just do eat something. We are literally breaking our fast from the night before. Think, just how many hours ago did we last eat? The Harvard School of Public Health found that regularly skipping breakfast increases our risk of a heart attack and heart disease by 25%. We want to keep our internal engine running and avoid binging later when we're starving, ill-tempered, and weak. Therefore, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Fill up on fiber-rich foods and get a smart start to the day. My granny always said to eat breakfast like a king or queen, lunch like a prince or princess, and supper like a pauper. Eat more at the start of the day and less before sleep. Here are some breakfast ideas, or create your own. Oatmeal or wheatena with raisins, chopped apples, cinnamon, non-dairy milk, and an orange. Cold cereal like grape nuts, shredded wheat, or Fiber One, or oat cereal with non-dairy milk and sliced bananas. Whole grain wheat toast, almond butter, preserves, and sliced fruit. Potato or oat pancakes with applesauce and fresh fruit. Sweet potato fries with cinnamon or onions and sliced apples. Tofu scramble. This is made with firm, crumbled tofu scrambled up in a frying pan with assorted veggies and roasted potatoes, similar to a skillet meal. Add hot sauce or salsa. French toast made with soy milk and bananas. And of course, leftover dinner. I actually love cold leftover pizza for breakfast. Be creative. Eat. Again, keep lunch simple. My husband has had a variation on the same lunch almost every day for 10 years. He's very happy with it. He eats hunks of raw cauliflower, broccoli, and a large sandwich or two made with tofurkey and non-dairy cheese, sliced tomatoes, lettuce, and beignets. He finishes up with fruit. My go-to lunch is leftover dinner, often in a wrap, with more veggies and fruit on the side. Grain-based salad, roasted veggies, pickles or sauerkraut, and fruit. Bean burrito with lettuce, tomato, salsa, and avocado, more fruit. whole wheat pita or wrap, stuffed with hummus, leafy greens, tomatoes, and any other veggies. Bean salad, soup, toast, and fruit. Cup of miso soup, carrots and hummus, crackers with almond butter, sliced apple. Spinach and strawberry salad, toasted pita stuffed with veggies or falafel and hummus. Brown rice salad with tomatoes, black olives, and artichoke hearts, cup of soup, fruit. Think about starting with a salad. Kids can help make the salad do. Do make a lot in advance and just add dressing at the last minute. Be careful with salad dressings, homemade are the best. Play with different types of vinegars. Always ask for dressing on the side when you're going out. Restaurants typically drown their salads in dressing, and many are heavy with oil, or ask for oil and vinegar instead. It's easy to build a wonderful, tasty salad. Start with a mixed green base, add rice, beans, colorful veggies, or fruits, then special toppings, herbs, and as little dressing as possible. We want to taste and crunch the veggies. Here's a really clever way to enjoy salad on the go. Find a big clean jar with a tight-fitting lid. Pickle jars are 33 ounces. Pour a small amount of plant-based dressing in the bottom. Drop chopped hard veggies on top of the dressing, like carrots and broccoli, beets, like that. Add cooked legumes, grains or pasta. Add avocado, tomato, or strawberries. Sprinkle in some nuts and seeds. Then add leafy greens, and that should equal about half the jar right there. Then tightly screw on the lid. When ready, place onto a large plate or bowl and toss. The jars will store in the fridge for several days with dressing on the bottom. Really, how clever. Easy to organize for the week and take to work. Dinner. Love dinner. See my reference section for cookbooks and websites. Every day there are more and more plant-based food cookbooks and websites published. Find 5 to 10 go-to favorite dinners and slowly build a repertoire. Have fun with this and think about all the new foods you're enjoying. Think of this as an exploration and appreciate the journey. Each of the following assumes fruit for dessert. Spinach and tofu lasagna, salad, whole grain bread. Vegan mac and cheese, sauerkraut, salad. Pasta with lentil marinara sauce, steamed leafy greens. Fajitas and soft tacos, black beans, brown rice, salad. Chinese stir-fry over brown rice, miso soup. Baked beans, baked potatoes, steamed leafy greens, sliced tomatoes. Mexican beans over rice, corn tortillas, with a variety of salsas and guacamole. Veggie burger, whole grain wheat bun, lettuce, pickles, cooked onions, tomatoes, roasted potatoes. Pizza with a ton of mushrooms and veggie toppings, green salad with green olives. Roasted portobello mushrooms, stuffed with olive tapenade on top of bulgur, with steamed summer squash and a salad. Roasted winter vegetables like onions, sweet potatoes, hunks of cauliflower, parsnips, celery root, beets, and Brussels sprouts. Soup or salad and bread. This is not the popular Build-A-Bear, but Build-A-Bowl. This is similar to the salads in a jar we just talked about. More and more restaurants are adding the option of a bowl. Think of the framework like a sandwich. There are rules, and then there are no rules. Pieces of bread and a variety of other food items is the basic structure for a sandwich. A bowl meal is simply a container with greens or grains, veggies, proteins, and sauce. Be creative. It's perfect for either lunch or dinner. So, start with a big bowl. Fill half the bowl with any warm or cooked grains, rice, noodles, or greens. Fill a quarter of the bowl with any veggies on hand. Experiment with slicing, cubing, slivering, cooked or raw. Then fill the last quarter of the bowl with protein and fat like tofu, beans, a few nuts and seeds, olives, seitan, or tempeh. Use those leftovers. And right before eating, drizzle a little bit of plant-based sauce or dressing to blend it all together and enjoy. Now it's time for dessert. And after that, we'll talk about snacks, another good thing to eat. Oh, desserts. We do love our desserts. And there are countless fabulous plant-based dessert recipes out there. Whole books are dedicated to vegan desserts. But do try to get out of the special dessert everyday trap. So desserts like cookies, cakes, and pies are truly treats, like this raw strawberry pie, peanut butter cookies, and chocolate fudge cake pictured here. Yes, these are all plant-based and extra special treats. Here's a few super easy everyday options for a very simple dessert. Bake stuffed apples with walnuts, raisins, and of course cinnamon and nutmeg. Microwave works okay too, but it doesn't take very long, so cook for 1 minute and then just check on them. Frozen fruit like grapes, pineapple, sliced bananas, and mango. Frozen berries, whirled with soft tofu. Actually, any fruit blended with soft tofu or non-dairy milk is a lovely, simple dessert. Combine oranges, frozen mangoes, and pineapples is one of my personal favorites because it reminds me of an orange Julius. Play around and experiment with flavors. A few dried figs or dates are very sweet and satisfying. Dry roasted garbanzo beans with a dusting of sweet spices are yummy, as are herb teas or coffee with spices. And lastly, any kind of fruit or a handful of nuts is a good way to end a hearty meal. But chocolate. We do need to talk about chocolate for just a minute because there are conflicting reports about the health effects of chocolate. And the whole world loves chocolate. It's delicious and stimulates the release of feel-good hormones called endorphins. Some reports claim that chocolate can reduce risk of heart attack and stroke because chocolate is packed with antioxidants. The darker the chocolate, the more antioxidants, which we know are healthy because they destroy free radicals in our bodies. Yet, traditionally, chocolate is also filled with sugar, cream, and milk, which is animal-based saturated fat. Eating a lot of chocolate will increase our risk for obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and other chronic illnesses. Even vegan chocolate, made without cream, is filled with sugar. The medical consensus appears to be that occasionally, yes, a bit of chocolate is okay. Save these occasional opportunities for healthier vegan chocolate. If you like to bake, add date sugar or fruit instead of regular sugar to the unsweetened chocolate. There are many types of vegan chocolate, a ton of recipes and bakery products. Enjoy in moderation for a very special treat. And yes, we do want to eat healthy snacks so we don't get hungry and binge later on unhealthy foods. However, we don't want to snack just because. We only want to snack if we feel hungry. Too much snacking leads to weight gain. Do avoid snacks that are high in sugar, salt, and fat. First, try to identify the craving. Crunchy, munchy, sweet, savory, thirst quencher, or smooth. For example, crunchy would be apples, carrots, and celery, green pepper sticks, zucchini, radishes, broccoli, cauliflower, or a few tortilla or vegetable chips, or roasted chickpeas with spices. Munchy would be trail mix, unsalted sunflower seeds, whole grain toast with plant-based spread, cherry or grape tomatoes, and unsalted raw nuts like almonds, walnuts, and unsalted peanuts in the shell. Well, those make a mess, but they're really fun to munch on. Sweet snacks can be any kind of fresh fruit, cooked fruit, smoothies, or frozen fruit. Thirst quenches are water, homemade sparkling water, infused with fruit, hot or cold coffee or tea. Mix it up with herbal teas and experiment. Sweet, spicy cinnamon iced tea is my favorite. And of course, muffins are always a popular snack at our house. My last muffins were made of pumpkin and applesauce, and they were devoured. Muffins can be sweet or savory. According to a study in 2011, we now snack about 25% of our total calories per day, which is why we only want to snack if we feel hungry. Dr. Richard Mattis at Purdue University calls today's snack a fourth meal that can average almost 600 calories. So use this opportunity to add more fruits and veggies. Get smart, get organized, and get healthy. Be prepared, too. For example, before going to watch a big game at someone's house, knowing they'll serve all sorts of snacks like wings and chips, eat before leaving, and be sure to take something healthy to share. That way, hunger and temptation are relieved. Avoid snacks that are high in sugar, salt, and fat. More easy snack ideas include veggies and hummus, warm or cold fruit, air-popped plain popcorn with nutritional yeast, herbs, and spices. You could even create single-serve bags for snacks on the go. Baked kale, veggie, or tortilla chips with bean dip, whirled peas dip, guacamole or salsa, edamame, and it's easy to create single-serve bags for that one on the go, or a cup of chili or soup with a few whole grain crackers, and nuts in moderation. Nuts are such powerhouses of nutrition and good health, full of omega-3, fiber, vitamin E, antioxidants, and good fats. Likewise, there are so many vegan, whole food, plant-based cookbooks and websites. Do a search online and you will find thousands. All have a social media presence, so you can join communities and become as involved as you like. My local library also has a huge collection of cookbooks. I'm a big believer in the library and only buy cookbooks I know I will use over and over again. So either I borrow from a friend or check out cookbooks from the library to keep learning how to play with my food. Let me share some popular favorites and then we'll summarize and conclude this session. The Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease Cookbook from Dr. Esselstyn's wife and daughter is a classic. We would not have made it back in 2005 without the Esselstyn's various cookbooks and expert guidance. The China Study Cookbook from Dr. Campbell's wife and daughter offer delicious, easily prepared, family-friendly, plant-based recipes. There are several China Study cookbooks. Forks Over Knives is a wonderful cookbook. There's a fascinating full-length documentary movie with the same name and tasty recipes on their website and blog. Oh my God, I love this cookbook, Veganomicon, the ultimate vegan cookbook. This is a personal favorite. I will make anything these women create. This has been like my Bible. Thug's Kitchen's very funny cookbook and website is expletive deleted. The language is very strong, and the recipes are really good. I especially appreciate how they explain processes for beginning cooks. Veg News is both a print news magazine and website with terrific recipes and interesting articles. Do check it out online and search their database. Moreover, every year they've published the top most popular recipes of the year. Oh, She Glows is an often cited favorite cookbook and website. 5 years ago, Angela Liddon started a blog, ohsheglows.com, to spread the word about her journey to health and the powerful transformation that food can make in our lives. Today, Oh She Glows remains a popular vegan recipe blog, and she's published 2 cookbooks. Another classic by Isa, the author of Veganomicon, is titled Isa Does It, Amazingly Easy, Wildly Delicious Vegan Recipes for Every Day of the Week. The recipes are supermarket friendly and respect how busy most readers are. From skilled vegan chefs to those new to the vegan pantry or just cooks looking for some fresh ideas, Isa's unfussy recipes and quirky commentary will make everyone's time in the kitchen fun and productive. I love her. Blogger-author Christy Turner refutes every excuse you've ever heard with 125 vegan recipes for every meal of the day, including dessert. With her new book called But I Could Never Go Vegan, 125 recipes that prove you can live without cheese, it's not all rabbit food, and your friends will still come over for dinner. These cookbooks and websites are just a tiny sampling of what is available. There are so many more to explore. In closing, I want to remind us of Julia Child's message to be fearless and to have a what the hell attitude. I'd also like to add that she said that while cooking and preparing food, that we want to have a good time. I agree. Now, in summary, in our brief review of whole food, plant-based nutrition, we talked about eating more plants in the basic groups of whole grains, beans and lentils, what we call legumes, vegetables, seeds and nuts, and fruit. We talked about the benefits of organic foods and how consumers' interest in safe, clean food is growing. We talked about how vitamins and supplements are not recommended, with the exception of vitamin B12. How, as busy consumers on a budget, we talked about ways to shop so that we maximize our funds and get the freshest, best foods we can. We went over a few methods for meal planning. Then I shared some sample everyday breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, and snack ideas. We talked just a bit about cooking basics and special equipment, as well as where to shop, and popular websites and cookbooks. Now it's time to get busy and step into action. Do an inventory of pantry, refrigerator, and freezer. Clear out foods you don't want anymore. Give them away to a food bank or throw a get-together and send off the non-plant food with a goodbye party. Do some recipe reading and plan out 1 to 2 weeks worth of meals, 3 meals per day plus snacks. Either write it down or create an online document. Create the shopping list. Go to the grocery store and spend some time, examining labels and making selections. Use the shopping apps. Set aside time to cook a few things during one cooking session. Make notes and clean up. Then sit down, relax, eat, and enjoy. Happy eating! Thank you for joining me today to talk about meal planning and more specifics about the actual how to manage the transition to a vegan, whole food, plant-based diet. I really appreciate your time today and hope it's been helpful. Our next session is all about exercise. Well, we know it's healthy and a good thing, but how much do we really need? What exactly does it do for us? And which is more important, diet or exercise? Until then, thank you and bye for now.